Ladies, let me tell you something real. Men don't always express their heart with poetry or long paragraphs. But when a man truly loves an older woman, when he admires her maturity, her strength, her confidence, he says things that come from a deeper place. See, younger love is loud, but grown man love, that's honest, steady, and intentional. When a man loves an older woman, he says things he doesn't say to anybody else because he respects what she's lived through. He respects the battles she survived. He respects the wisdom she carries. When a man looks at an older woman he truly loves and says, "I feel safe with you," he isn't talking about safety the way most people think. He's not talking about locks on the door or who's watching his back in a dark alley. He's talking about emotional safety, spiritual safety, the kind of safety men rarely admit they need. Because the truth is, men walk through life pretending to be strong long before they ever learn what real strength looks like. They grow up being told not to cry, not to show weakness, not to break down. They go through years trying to be tough enough for the world, for their family, for their work. But when a man finds an older woman he loves, something inside of him finally relaxes. He looks at her and sees someone who has lived, someone who has survived storms, heartbreak, disappointment, and still carries herself with grace. She doesn't panic at the small things. She doesn't start drama. She doesn't demand perfection. Her presence feels like calm. And for a man who has fought battles nobody knows about, that calm is everything. When he says he feels safe with her, he's telling her, "I don't have to pretend with you. I can finally breathe." Older women carry an energy that young men don't know how to describe, but they feel it. It's the energy of someone who isn't trying to impress anyone. She knows who she is. She knows what she brings. She doesn't rush. She doesn't compete. She just exists in her truth. And that truth makes a man feel seen in a way he never has before. When he's with her, he doesn't feel judged for his mistakes or his fears. He doesn't feel like he has to be perfect. He just has to be honest. Men rarely tell anyone when they're hurting. They hide it behind work, behind humor, behind silence. But with the right older woman, he finds himself opening up without even realizing it. He tells her things he hasn't told anyone, not because she demands it, but because her presence makes him feel understood. She listens differently. She hears differently. She responds with wisdom instead of emotion. And that makes a man feel safe enough to take off the mask he wears in the world. Feeling safe with a woman is a deep form of love for a man, even if he never says the word love out loud. Safety means he trusts her heart. It means he believes she won't use his vulnerability against him. It means he sees her as a place where he can rest instead of a battlefield where he has to fight. When a man says he feels safe, he's telling her she is peace in human form. Older women have learned what really matters in a relationship. They don't explode over every flaw. They don't run at the first sign of struggle. They bring perspective. They bring balance. They bring a steadiness that makes a man feel like he finally found something he didn't even know he was missing. He feels safe because she doesn't play with love. She doesn't guess. She communicates. She doesn't threaten to leave. She solves problems. She doesn't confuse him. She stabilizes him. A man who feels safe becomes a better man. He becomes more confident, more expressive, more open. His heart grows in ways it never did before because she creates an environment where love can breathe. And that is why when a man says to an older woman, "I feel safe with you," he's giving her one of the deepest truths a man can ever share. When a man looks at an older woman he truly loves and says, "Teach me," he isn't admitting weakness, he's revealing admiration. Men don't say those words lightly. Most men grow up thinking they have to know everything, fix everything, lead everything. Society teaches them that asking for guidance makes them less of a man. But when a man loves an older woman, something shifts inside him. He starts to understand that strength isn't about pretending, it's about growing. And growth happens when you're humble enough to learn from someone who has walked more roads than you have. When he says, "Teach me," he's telling her, I see value in your mind, in your experience, in the years you've lived. He's not chasing her beauty. He's drawn to her depth. Older women don't just speak from emotion. They speak from history. They've lived through love that broke them, love that healed them, choices that changed them, storms that strengthened them. They carry a type of wisdom that can't be bought and can't be faked. And a man who truly loves her wants access to that, not to take advantage of it, but to rise because of it. A younger woman might teach him excitement, but an older woman teaches him perspective. She teaches him patience. She teaches him balance. She teaches him that reacting is easy, but responding with clarity is power. She teaches him that not everything needs to be a fight, not every moment needs to be loud, not every disagreement means disaster. Her stability becomes a lesson all by itself. A man watches how she carries herself, how she handles tension, how she communicates her boundaries, and he grows simply by being near her. Men are not used to being guided with softness. Many of them grew up with criticism, judgment, or silence. But an older woman guides differently. She doesn't belittle him. She doesn't talk down to him. She elevates him. She teaches through calm energy, through example, through emotional intelligence. When she speaks, he hears truth, not noise. And when she corrects him, she does it in a way that helps him step into a better version of himself without feeling attacked. That kind of feminine leadership changes a man from the inside out. When a man says, "Teach me," he's also admitting he feels safe enough to be imperfect. The world pressures men to be flawless, but with her, he can be human. He can ask questions without feeling stupid. He can make mistakes without fear. He can show cracks without being judged. She becomes a space where he can evolve, and men don't evolve for just anyone, only for a woman they genuinely respect. He watches how she handles finances, how she protects her peace, how she sets standards without apology. He sees the way she doesn't fall for empty words because she's already lived through every version of them. And that maturity teaches him to step up. He learns to communicate better. He learns to listen more deeply. He learns to love more intentionally. A man becomes wiser simply because she exists in his life. Saying "teach me" also means he recognizes she has lived longer, loved harder, and survived things he may never understand. And instead of feeling threatened by her experience, he honors it. He embraces it. He wants to grow because of it. That's not just love, that's emotional humility. That's spiritual attraction. That's a man admitting that being with her makes him better. A man who asks an older woman to teach him is a man who sees her not as a partner he needs to dominate, but as a partner who can help him rise. He wants her guidance, her insight, her clarity. He sees brilliance where others see age. He sees treasure where others see time. And he becomes a stronger, wiser, more grounded man because she chose to share her wisdom with him. When a man looks an older woman in the eyes and says, "I'm here and I'm not going anywhere," he isn't just giving reassurance. He's making a declaration, because men don't say that unless they mean it. Men don't offer stability unless they feel something real. And they definitely don't promise consistency unless the woman in front of them has touched them in a way no one else ever has. An older woman has already lived through the kind of love that starts strong and disappears fast. She has already experienced men who told her everything she wanted to hear and then left the moment things got difficult. She's seen the grand beginnings that went nowhere. She's seen the charm with no character behind it. She doesn't fall for excitement anymore. She falls for consistency. And a man who truly cares about her knows that. So he shows up in the way she needs, not in the way that is easy. When he says he's not going anywhere, he's telling her that he understands she's tired of temporary people. He knows she doesn't need someone for entertainment. She needs someone for partnership. She doesn't need attention. She needs presence. She doesn't need promises. She needs proof. And that's exactly what he's offering. He stands by her through the quiet days, the busy days, the stressful days. He doesn't show up only when it's convenient. He shows up because she matters. For men, staying is not always natural. The world teaches men to run when things get hard, to avoid emotional responsibility, to stay only as long as they feel comfortable. But when a man connects with an older woman he respects, something shifts in him. He becomes grounded. He becomes steady. He becomes committed in a way he didn't even know he could be. Her energy doesn't pull him in with intensity. It anchors him with maturity. Older women don't play games, and a man who loves her knows he can't either. She doesn't give mixed signals, so he doesn't send them. She doesn't leave him wondering, so he doesn't disappear. She doesn't ask for more effort. She recognizes it. She doesn't need to hear "I love you" every minute because she watches how he invests in the connection. And he invests by staying, showing up, returning, and being exactly where she needs him. When a man tells an older woman he's not going anywhere, he's also telling her he sees a future. He sees something worth building. He sees a woman who doesn't just inspire love, but responsibility. She has balance. She has stability. She knows how to nurture without losing herself. She knows how to give without being drained. She loves with intention, not impulse. That kind of woman makes a man want to be dependable. He stays because she makes his life more peaceful. He stays because her presence makes him feel calm. He stays because she doesn't create chaos. She brings clarity. She isn't unpredictable. She isn't inconsistent. She loves with a sense of knowing, and that knowing teaches him how to love better. A man who tells an older woman he isn't going anywhere doesn't say it to impress her. He says it because he understands what her past cost her. He knows there were nights when she cried quietly so no one would hear. He knows there were times she gave her all to someone who gave nothing back. He knows she learned how to be strong because she had no choice. And he wants to be the man who gives her something she hasn't had in a long time: reliability. He becomes consistent because she's worth consistency. He becomes loyal because she's worth loyalty. He becomes emotionally present because she's worth being present for. She makes him want to stay, not through pressure, but through peace. Not through insecurity, but through inspiration. Not through demands, but through the kind of love that feels grown, intentional, and safe. And staying becomes not something he's forced to do, but something he's grateful to do. When a man looks at an older woman and says, "You don't have to do everything alone," he is speaking to a part of her that has been strong for far too long. Older women don't become independent because they want to carry the world on their shoulders. They become independent because life taught them they had to. They learned to fix what was broken, to take care of what needed attention, to keep going even when no one showed up for them. They've been the provider, the peacemaker, the planner, the emotional anchor, sometimes all at once. And somewhere along the way, they stopped expecting anyone to help, not because they didn't deserve support, but because they stopped believing it existed. So when a man tells her she doesn't have to do everything alone, he isn't challenging her strength. He's honoring it. He's saying, "I see how much you've carried. Let me share the weight." He knows she's capable. He knows she's self-sufficient. He knows she can survive without him, and that's exactly why he wants to be there for her. There is something deeply powerful about a woman who doesn't need saving, only partnership. And when a man loves a woman like that, he doesn't try to take her power, he tries to protect it. Older women move differently. They've learned that not everyone who walks in their life is meant to stay, and not everyone who stays is meant to help. They've seen people promise support but deliver excuses. They've watched friends disappear when things got heavy. They've learned to rely on themselves because relying on others left them disappointed. So when a man steps forward and offers real support, not just words but action, it touches a part of her heart she keeps hidden. It feels unfamiliar, but in a beautiful way. A man who truly loves her doesn't wait for her to break down before he steps in. He pays attention. He notices when she's tired, even if she smiles through it. He sees when her spirit is drained, even if she pretends she's fine. He recognizes the silent weight she carries, the responsibilities, the expectations, the emotional labor, and he wants to be the man who makes her life lighter, not heavier. He wants to give her a place to rest, not another place to work. When he says she doesn't have to do everything alone, he's telling her that partnership isn't a burden, it's a blessing. He's offering his hands, his time, his effort. He wants to take the grocery bags, handle the small tasks, solve the problems she's tired of solving. Not because she can't do it, but because he finally wants to be the one who shows up for her the way she's always shown up for everyone else. Older women are used to giving more than they receive. They pour into others until they are empty, then refill themselves in silence. So when a man steps in and gives without asking anything in return, it feels healing. It feels like someone is finally choosing her for the right reasons, not for what she can do, but for who she is. A man who offers help to a strong woman is a man who understands that strength doesn't mean she isn't tired, and independence doesn't mean she isn't longing for someone she can lean on. When he tells her she doesn't have to do it all alone, he's also saying he respects her enough to stand beside her. He isn't intimidated by her success, her experiences, or her resilience. He doesn't feel the need to compete with her or outshine her. He wants to complement her. He wants to match her. He wants to be part of her world, not the center of it. And that is the kind of love an older woman has earned, a love that supports, uplifts, and partners instead of taking, draining, or demanding. A man offering his help to an older woman is not weakness. It's devotion. It's maturity. It's his way of saying, let me be your place to rest. You've carried enough alone. When a man looks at an older woman he truly loves and says, you make me better, he is revealing something men don't often admit out loud, the fact that love can shape them, refine them, and elevate them in ways they never expected. Men grow up believing they're supposed to be the leaders, the protectors, the ones who guide the relationship forward. But when a man falls for an older woman, he discovers a different kind of influence, one that doesn't control him but inspires him. Older women don't push a man to grow. They encourage it through their presence. She's lived enough life to know what matters and what doesn't. She carries a wisdom that doesn't shout, it whispers. She doesn't tell him who to be. She shows him by being herself. Her maturity rubs off on him. Her calm energy teaches him emotional control. Her communication teaches him honesty. Her confidence teaches him self-respect. Her standards teach him discipline. And before he even realizes it, he's evolving simply because he's connected to someone who brings out the best in him. A man who says, you make me better, isn't complimenting her beauty. He's recognizing her impact. He's acknowledging that she doesn't just love him, she upgrades him. She challenges him to think deeper, act wiser, and love more intentionally. She helps him see himself in a different light, not through judgment, but through genuine compassion. She doesn't highlight his flaws to tear him down. She points them out so he can rise above them. Older women know how to elevate without criticizing. They know how to guide without controlling. They know how to correct without hurting. Her experience teaches her how to handle a man with softness and strength at the same time. And that combination brings out a version of him he didn't know he was capable of becoming. He suddenly finds himself communicating more clearly, thinking before reacting, making decisions with vision instead of impulse. That's her influence. Men don't admit that they need emotional nurturing, but they feel it deeply. With her, he starts making better choices not to impress her, but because she inspires him to value himself. He begins taking more responsibility, not because she demands it, but because her presence holds him to a higher standard. He becomes more patient because she doesn't entertain chaos. He becomes more focused because she doesn't tolerate inconsistency. He becomes more loving because she understands him. She brings balance to his storms, reason to his doubts, and clarity to his confusion. When he tells her she makes him better, he's also saying that she sees potential in him that others overlooked. Older women look beneath the surface. They don't fall for temporary charm. They look for character. They notice a man's effort, his intentions, his heart. They praise the parts of him no one else saw. They encourage the abilities he didn't believe he had. She doesn't just support his dreams, she stabilizes them. She gives him direction, not by pushing, but by helping him focus on what matters. A man grows when he feels understood, respected, and believed in. And older women do all three with grace. She becomes a mirror that reflects the best parts of him, even when he can't see them. A younger woman might admire his surface, but an older woman admires his soul, his discipline, his growth, his evolution. That kind of admiration makes a man want to be better every day. A man becomes better because he loves her, because he respects her, because he doesn't want to lose a woman who brings value, peace, wisdom, and stability into his life. She doesn't change him. She awakens the greatness that was always inside him. And that is why he looks at her with honesty and says the one thing men rarely express: you make me a better man. When a man tells an older woman, I trust you with parts of me no one else sees, he's opening a door that men rarely let anyone walk through. Men are built to hide. They hide their fears, their insecurities, their disappointments, their failures. They hide the parts of themselves that feel small, unsure, or fragile. From childhood, men are taught to be tough, to be silent, to be the rock everyone leans on. But nobody ever tells a man where he's supposed to put the weight of his own emotions, so he carries them quietly, layer after layer, year after year. By the time he's grown, he has whole rooms inside him that nobody has ever entered. But when a man loves an older woman, something different happens. She doesn't break down his walls. She walks around them with patience. She doesn't demand access. She earns it with softness. She doesn't force him to talk. She creates an atmosphere where talking feels natural. She doesn't judge him. She understands him. And suddenly, without even realizing it, he finds himself opening doors he locked a long time ago. Older women listen differently. They listen without rushing. They listen without trying to fix everything in the first sentence. They listen with wisdom created by living, by hurting, by healing, by rising. And a man feels that. He feels her presence settle him, calm him, soften him. He starts telling her things he never said aloud before, not because she asked, but because he feels safe enough to share. He reveals the fears he hid behind strength. He reveals the doubts he buried under confidence. He reveals the dreams he never admitted to anyone because he didn't want to be laughed at. You can always tell when a man trusts a woman deeply. He stops performing. He stops pretending to be perfect. He stops using humor as armor. He stops using silence as a shield. He lets her see the vulnerable, unpolished parts of him, not just the parts he shows the world. And when a man does that, you have reached a place in his heart that very few people ever reach. Older women know how to hold a man's truth without breaking it. They don't use his vulnerabilities against him. They don't ridicule what he shares. They don't get overwhelmed by his emotions. They meet him with strength, not softness disguised as sympathy. She becomes the person he can talk to after he fails, after he falls, after he's scared, after he's tired of being strong for everyone else. She becomes home for the version of him the world never sees. A man will trust an older woman because she carries emotional maturity. She knows mistakes don't define a man. She knows weakness isn't a flaw, it's human. She knows every man has layers he doesn't show easily. She knows how rare it is for a man to expose his heart, and she treats that trust like something sacred. When he opens up, she doesn't interrupt. She doesn't panic. She doesn't throw his past in his face. She listens with the kind of presence that feels healing. And because she listens with depth, he speaks with honesty. He shows her the fears he hides behind his confidence, the pain he hides behind his silence, the softness he hides behind his strength. When a man says, I trust you with parts of me no one else sees, he is giving a woman the most vulnerable gift he has, his truth. Not the polished version he shows the world, but the real version he only reveals to the woman he believes will protect it. And an older woman, with her grace, her patience, and her wisdom, becomes the one person he can finally be fully himself with.